Hey everybody, I'm Tom Vasel, and today, or right now, I'm talking about my favorite reprints slash sequels slash, well, mostly like reprints or redone versions of games from 2022. This is actually a pretty neat category. Every year, this is a category that is not a category I struggle to find 10 games for. Because honestly, so many games get reprinted, redone, new versions, deluxe versions, so there's a lot of cool games. Let's get started. Number 10 is the Port Royal Big Box, which thankfully, their size of big box is the size of a Carcassonne box. But Port Royal initially came out in a very small box, very simple push your luck style game. Really enjoy this game. And then having an expansions in a nicely, easily separatable sections in the box, make it a lot of fun to play. I can add the expansion in, not add the expansion in. It's just simple, it's fast. Port Royal's already a fun game. This lets me mix and match a couple expansions without causing me too much stress. My number 9 is Key to the Kingdom. Key to the Kingdom is from Restoration Games, who is on this list every year because that's what they do. This is a kid's game, essentially, and the Key to the Kingdom was okay. Very lucky fantasy game. It's still very lucky, but now they redid it. First of all, the production's great. Secondly, Rob Daviau, who's in charge of this, has all these different weapons and things that you can have. There are these different cards, and you can flip these cards face down to utilize them to manipulate your die rolls. There's still luck in the game, but there's a lot more mitigation. It's a fun storytelling game. It's still a kid's family game more than anything else. It just is a very nicely done one. Number 8 is Dungeon Fighter. Dungeon Fighter is a silly game where you're rolling dice and bouncing them off a table onto a target, trying to kill the monsters, the creatures there. Lots of fun. And this deluxe version includes all the expansions, all kinds of neat dice. And sometimes I don't want the kitchen sink involved in the game. But with Dungeon Fighter, I don't mind that stuff being added. Really fun game. And now all that silliness is in one box for me. Number 7 is Basket Boss. Basket Boss, originally published by Quality Games. A game about managing a basketball team. I liked it a lot. And Board Game Tables reprinted it in a nice, small, compact version, but also with just very cool components. They upgraded they added some roles to the game that weren't in the original one. It plays very smoothly. It's still the same basic game, but it's a nice done, small, good production. And if you get the Board Game Tables upgraded components, even nicer than that. Number 6 is Marvel Remix. This is a redone version of Fantasy Realms. Now, oddly enough, they did a Star Trek Realms, or whatever it was called, this past year, which is just awful, terrible. I disliked it a lot. But Marvel Remix is a good redone version of Fantasy Realms where you're getting a handful of 7 cards, you play them down, and this one has a villain that you need one villain, but the way the cards work and the way they mix with the Marvel Universe, I was just very, very impressed with the whole thing. Number 5 is the Dice Throne things. There's 2 of them, actually. There's the Marvel Dice Throne stuff, which was amazing. It blew my mind at Dice Throne, a great game where you have a gunslinger up against a paladin, up against a vampire, up against, whatever else. Now you can have Spider-Man in the mix up against Thor, and it works really well. It's a lot of fun with the Marvel stuff. But they also added, just before the end of this year, Santa and Krampus in the mix. So now I can have Krampus going up against Doctor Strange, or I can have Santa Claus fighting his arch enemy, Loki. Those are fun matchups. Actually, Loki versus Krampus. But anyway, a lot of fun, really good art, just great all around. Number 4 is the Castles of Mad King Ludwig. This deluxe version, I was very nervous about this one because Suburbia, which is an amazing game, a better game than Castle of Mad King Ludwig, their deluxe version is so difficult. When I pull it out, I'm like, I got to figure out where all the pieces are just to play the game. Castle of Mad King Ludwig, I'm like, pop, 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 pop. We're ready to play. That's amazing. The rule book's well done. It's nicer stuff, upgraded stuff, but it's also really easy to pull out. Castle of Mad King Ludwig is a game I enjoy, and its deluxe version is even better. Number 3 is Clank Catacombs. So I actually debated on this one, putting it in my best games of the year, because I just think it wasn't different enough from Clank to legally distinct in my mind, but it doesn't matter. I'll never play Clank again, honestly, probably, because Clank Catacombs is so much better as you are exploring the dungeon. It's the same game as Clank, but you are now exploring a dungeon, building it out of tiles. It's so much more fun. It's compatible with some of the stuff that you can mix with Clank. I think it's the way we're going to see Clank done in the future. Really, really entertaining game, but that adding exploration to this deck building game really put it over the top for me. Number 2, back to restoration games, is Return to Dark Tower. Return to Dark Tower, now I've seen the old game, I never actually played it, I've seen how it works. The new one, they spent years on it. This new beast of a tower, which is this high, and that is not an exaggeration, off the table. Great components, cool miniatures, and you're going around, and it is a cooperative game. It works with an app, and the app works with the tower, and the tower is dropping skulls on the board and spinning around, and the whole experience is neat. But taking that experience out of it, the spinning tower, the dropping skulls, the app, it's still a really solid game. And it has so many different, you pick a bad guy, you get to pick all the parameters of it, so you can make it as quote-unquote easy. It's never really that easy, but it's never really that hard either. It's a game you can win and offers so many cool choices. Very, very neat. And my number 1 reprint from this year was a really easy choice for me, and that's Massive Darkness 2nd Edition. Massive Darkness 1st Edition, which I never played a full game of, just played a little bit of a demo and everything. I thought, it's kind of a spin on Zombicide. It's fine. Massive Darkness 2 is one of my favorite games ever. It is my favorite dungeon crawl ever. It is so well done. Each of the different classes has their own very distinctive way that they play. So if you're playing the wizard, you have these cards. If you're playing the rogue, you're doing a little bag pulling game. If you're playing the ranger, you're doing push your luck. If you're playing necromancer, you're raising stuff. And they feel so different. And yet it's also kind of kick the door in, fight the monsters, get loot. It's really entertaining. It's easy to plug and play. It's just so much fun. So much fun. What a great game. I'm so glad I have it. That's Massive Darkness 2, my favorite reprint of last year. And that's it, folks. Those are my favorite reprints from 2022. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Tom Vasel, and this is the Dice Tower.